Good morning, everybody. May I have your attention, please? My name is Neil Ford. I am the Director of Public Information at UNESCO. We have a really wonderful press conference lined up for you today with 2 high school students and 3 youth delegates. Each of them has a statement that they are putting forward at the World Conference, and we're here to find out about their perspectives and viewpoints. Could I ask the youth delegates to introduce each other, starting with my immediate left, with Nadia.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Nadia. I am 16 years old and I am a Brazilian high school student. Since I was a little kid, I was really engaged with the idea of changing the world. As the time came by, I started to get involved with some social programs and sustainability programs in my school and in my community. So I am very happy to be attending this World Conference so that we can change and we can do something for education for sustainable development. Because I believe that education can change the world, and education is the key to make things better, to make the things to work, to make sustainable development. Because when the students get in touch, they actually know what means sustainability.
Next, please.
皆さんおはようございます。岡山県立矢掛高等学校から参りました武井まどかと申します。
I've learned I'm very glad to participate to this conference. I met many young students in Okayama. We were 4 in our Japanese team in Okayama. We made presentations and we participated in many discussions. And I was very glad to do that.
Please use your sets that are provided. Channel 1 is English, Channel 2 is French, Channel 3 is Spanish, and Channel 4 is Japanese. Thank you. Sorry, to continue, please. Our third participant.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sibren. I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm in the Netherlands the chair of the National Student Network for Sustainable Development. And what we do in the Netherlands is that we empower students to actually stand up and change their own institution in a positive way. And we help education institutions, especially universities, in moving towards sustainable development and ESD. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mona Zogby. I'm from Lebanon. And my passion and interest and expertise lies in youth engagement on sustainability. And this is why I chose to use my PhD study as a platform and an opportunity to explore opportunities for young people, for engaging young people on sustainability issues. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fumi from Nigeria, and I'm part of the youth delegation this year. I run a small social enterprise in Nigeria called Bayleaf Africa, and what we focus on is environmental education and agricultural techniques for solving sustainable development challenges.
Thank you all for introducing yourselves. It's our privilege to have with us this morning Ms. Keiko Momi. She is the director of MEXT, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, and she is going to summarize the stakeholder meetings that took place before the World Conference. You have the floor.
Allow me to speak in Japanese, as we have many press people from Japan as well.
Sorry, I participated to many conferences on ESD at Okayama. I'm glad to have these young people who were there at the stakeholders discussion in Okayama. They will tell about their experiences in Okayama. About the youth conference, it was organized on November 7th in Okayama. Young people from 13 to 35 years old has participated, coming from 180 countries. And the conference was organized on November 7th, but there was previously many discussions done. So we have discussed about what youth can do about the ESD in the future. This was the point of view that was discussed in Okayama. About the details, I have no time to explain to you, but you have the papers, so I invite you to read the papers afterwards. And the forum for high school students, there was a conference in Okayama too. There was some 9,000 schools from 180 countries participated to the conference. There was 35 schools who was very active in ESD movement was represented. And these students visited Japanese schools before the conference and had many exchanges with Japanese high school students. And they discussed about what kind of future they would want to build. And the representative of high schools has participated to different conferences in Nagoya too. And as next, we will, of course, support these youngsters to develop the activities on ESD in the world.
Thank you so much, Keiko. Now, just before we turn to questions from reporters, could I ask each of the groups to tell us a little bit about their meeting? Funmi, could I start with you, please?
Yes, so like has been said, on the 7th of November, we met in Okayama. There were 52 of us from 50 countries from around the world. All of us are youth participating in ESD in our own rights, different expertise, and we had a wide range of diverse people. So we had all sorts of people from academia, like Mona, she's doing her PhD. We had people from NGOs, people running their own NGOs, people participating in worldwide NGOs. And the diversity was immense. There was a diversity of cultures, of perspectives, of approaches to ESD, and it was also more, there was a range of people beyond the 52 of us. So prior to the conference, we had an online discussion in the weeks before the conference, and so there was a representation from people from around the world as well, and we were interested in getting our voice to ESD across the world. We do not want to be just the token representation anymore in ESD. We are the focus. Like someone said today in one of the plenary sessions, we're not the leaders of tomorrow. The future is in our hands and it's today. And so that's what we were focusing on. We put out our recommendations. Please take one of our statements from the stack to the left over there. And we have a session at 1:15 this afternoon in the courtyard. So if you have a chance, please stop by and we will be discussing more about the statement during that session.
Great, thank you so much. And now could I ask Madoka to talk a little bit about her conference? You have the floor, Madoka.
Thank you. A while ago, I have already slightly touched upon, but from November 2nd through 7th last week in Okayama, Youth Forum and the High School Students Forum for UNESCO ESD were held. I participated into that. I participated into the discussion and the presentation as Okayama team. And in the Okayama team presentations, our main focus, my theme, were connection. Before making the presentation, we lived without the mobile phone for 1 week. And we obviously use the mobile phone, and using SNS and other further functionalities of mobile phone, we believe that we can build a further connectivity connection amongst people. One single person is not powerful enough, but have some strength, we have some power, we are not powerless. And we believe that through connectivity, we will be able to become more powerful. That was the wish we incorporated in our presentation. At the end of the Okayama Forum, there was a drafting committee. I was part of that, and we drafted our Okayama Declaration. In a Global Youth Forum, many people cooperated with us, helped us, and encouraged us very much. Without the support from all these people, we would have not been able to be successful in our Okayama Global Youth Forum. So I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate our deepest gratitude. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much. It's now time for questions from the floor, but I just want to say both youth statements are available to you. Please pick them up. This is the statement from the youth, the three youth delegates, and this is the statement from the two high school students. Please take them, read them, and include them in your media reports coming from this World Conference in Nagoya. Now, if you have a question, this is the time to ask it. Please hold up your hand. When you ask your question, state who you are, what media organization you work for, and then your question, please. Oh, don't all speak at once. If while you're thinking of a question you might like to ask, could I ask perhaps Sibren what the main message of the youth statement from your group is and why it's important at this conference?
Thank you. As you might have noticed in the discussions and in the plenary opening yesterday morning, there was lots of talks about why ESD was not completely integrated in everything and every policies that are on the national level. And the whole discussion was about how to do that, which I think is definitely correct. We should implement ESD in very many things, and sustainable development, like Mrs. Bokova said, should be the goal of all education. Looking to the role of youth and young people, I'm very surprised that youth is a separate chapter in the final Nagoya Global Action Program. Because I think that the whole idea of a Global Action Program and the whole goal of a Global Action Program is to come up with a future which is there for the young people of today. So I would like to challenge UNESCO to make sure that in the next declaration, youth is not a separate chapter, but youth is integrated throughout all policies, all recommendations, all documents, in the same way that we try to integrate ESD throughout all other national policies. Thank you.
Thanks. Now, is there a question from the floor?
では会場からご質問は
Okay. Sorry? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Tsugawa. I'm from Jiji Press, Japan. I think I should ask this question to Ms. Takei, but perhaps all representatives of the youth can answer my question, if you will. Well, I've been participating in the ESD World Conference, but my generation's people have not received a direct education directly focusing on ESD, so it is not clear for us yet what are the differences between the ESD education and non-ESD or ordinary ESD. Perhaps many people share this feeling, and you, being part of youth, have already practiced ESD, have hands-on experiences, I believe, and how to people like us who have not received directly ESD education, or who haven't had a clear understanding of what ESD, how do you think it is the best to disseminate ESD and to convey the right message to ESD? Ms. Takei first, and perhaps other youth representatives, please.
Please go ahead. Do you have an answer?
私自身も
Thank you. I too myself, before participating in ESD activities, I have had no understanding about what ESD is. But since my getting involved in the activities of ESD, I understood that the ESD is education for the purpose of sustainable development. And we are being able to enjoy our life as we are today, and for that lives to be able to be enjoyed by our offsprings, children, our grandchildren, what should we do? I came to understand about those questions, and I came to think about the questions of environment. I think ESD's purpose is like this one.
Okay. In my opinion, ESD education is an education where the student is a protagonist. You know, the student is in the spotlight, and when the student is in the spotlight, we tend to learn more. We tend to, when we experience things, we tend to learn more about what we are seeing, what we are doing, and then when ESD comes in my mind, I think of an education where the student can be a protagonist, where the student can be in spotlight.
Perhaps I can throw it to Mona for a response, since we haven't heard from you yet.
Okay. Hello. Well, I think one of the core messages of ESD is empowering young people and as well as other people to own their futures, because regarding the vision of sustainability and what sustainability means to us all, empowering people to think, to reflect on new ways in which we would like to contribute to the way the world develops. And another thing is also about the sharing of diversity and seeing each other through ESD. The focus is on recognizing the way that through our diversity in terms of the way we think, the way we feel, the way we might have different understandings of what our lives may be and of our role in our lives, the way we have to sit and negotiate these things together so that we can all together go towards the pathway for development. And that's why I believe core to ESD is critical thinking and reflection on where we want to achieve, where we want to be and how to achieve it, and also the idea of transformative learning and how we can innovate in the ways we engage with each other.
Funmi?
You were concerned about ways of disseminating the information to people who are not in traditional academic settings. And I think that's important because my organization doesn't focus on traditional education. And our youth statement highly focuses on the fact that we want an ESD in all forms of education. So we want it in academia, in traditional classrooms, but we also want it in more modern forms of education. We want to see more innovative ways of passing messages across through film, through art. We want to see incubators, we want to see accelerators. So even if you're not in a traditional classroom setting, we want you to have access to ESD. And I think this is highly represented in our youth statement. Do
you want to say something?
All the things which are said before, I fully agree. The only thing I'd like to add is that I think that we should use ESD to reconsider what the goal of education is. I believe the goal of education in general is to develop society. And you cannot develop society in an unsustainable way because it means you have to stop developing at a certain point. Because the meaning of sustainable is long term. So in my opinion, ESD should be able to, the meaning of ESD should be able to reconsider the meaning of education, therefore reshaping the things that you learn, why you learn them, and also how you learn them. Go more to student-centered learning, where you learn how to develop yourself in order to be developing your country or your region in the most optimal way. Is that an answer to your question?
Is there another question from the floor? Yes, please. Can we have the micro?
Thank you. My name is Mam Diara. I come from Mali, and I work for an online website called journaldumali.com. My question is, one thing is to learn ESD, but another thing is to integrate the values of ESD. How individually do you apply ESD in your own life? Can you give us a concrete example? Thank you.
Who would like to take the first stab at answering that one? Mona?
Well, yes, I think you've actually captured one of the key words in ESD, which is values, and trying to integrate values where we can, values that for the long-term values of not just the way we are living now and the way we are educated now, to focus on single profit or individual profit or materialism. And this is one of the key ideas and messages of ESD, reshaping society through that. In my personal life, and I know that a lot of my colleagues as well, the way we live our lives, one of the key things is that we want to not just preach on how we can change, but also try to think and reflect on how in our own individual lives, the little things that we think are not significant, but they are, such as, for instance, not simple things such as not printing. I'll take personal examples in terms of not printing whenever I need to, whenever I can, not doing the printing, not using the cups that are disposable, but more like bringing my own cup and using it on a daily basis to the office. Things like cycling, for instance, whenever I'm in my own house, working from home, I cycle to work whenever I can, things like that. Little things that we think don't make a difference, but they actually do. And I would like to add that the importance of these things is that they inspire. There's this thing of social learning where we can all learn from each other. For example, one last example I would like to give is that when I was living in England, and me and my flatmate, and I used to cook sometimes vegetarian food or turn off the light every time I leave the room. And at first she wasn't doing that, but then over and over again, and then she started asking me, why are you doing this? Or she asked me about the vegetarian food and how that, and she wanted to try it. And bit by bit, she started integrating these. And once she came to me, she's like, oh, I cooked vegetarian tonight, and it was really nice. I didn't know that there were such nice food and vegetarian, nice ideas. And now when she leaves, she turns off the light. And so these little things that influence, even if we don't directly notice.
Would one other of the participants like to give an answer?
I think that integration in my daily life, it's very important between our school, it's not only learning in normal classes, and our daily life, because as an example, I lead a sustainability club in my school where the students get together just to discuss the ideas about sustainability, and we also do some actions in school to spread the idea so that everybody gets to know what is ESD. We also do some recycling in school and some other projects that I think it's very important, so that we students get in touch always. We are able to be leaders and do it in our own way.
Next question, please. Yes. Okay. Just wait for the microphone. Thanks.
I'm Rima Harmesi with the youth reporters here from the UNESCO, but I'm originally from Tunisia, and my question is for Ms. Mona. Well, when I left Tunisia, the education situation was really, I don't have to describe it. So my question is, for countries the Arab Spring, what do you expect to see in terms of ESD? And what are the actions that should be taken to save what is left of the education there? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for a very nice question, actually. Well, what I think at the core of that Arab Spring were youth. Just like every time there's a revolution, every time there's this push for innovation and for new things. And that's why I feel like there's this momentum that's been built around the Arabs, within the Arab society, that's been mainly pushed and led by youth. And this should not stop there. I believe that that we can use this momentum, we can use this opportunity and platform that's been created throughout the youth, throughout the Spring movement, in order to accelerate and empower young people to keep that unity that they've achieved in relation to governance, but use that and channel that to keep that unity and focus on ESD. Now, one of the key challenges, I believe, now in addressing ESD and trying to integrate it and mainstream it within the educational fora in the Arab world is that, as usual, the priority and the key focus of governance, of politicians, policymakers across the spectrum is usually because of the current circumstances, on the political situation, the security situation, and any kind of, unless we achieve stability, these kind of, any talk about discussion on environment and education are always usually on the sidelines. And therefore, this is where I believe that it is important to develop and empower youth to make sure that discussions on ESD become at the forefront. And we're actually trying to discuss the opportunity of developing a network across the different organizations, youth organizations, currently doing individual things in their own countries on ESD or on sustainability in general, trying to develop a network so that we can all work together. And the final thing I would say is that the opportunity here with ESD is that it provides young people as well as other citizens and stakeholders, to all of them through ESD, to think about, since we're doing this transformation and this trying to transition to a new society in the Arab world, how ESD can help us reflect on the values that we want to achieve, the principles, the strategies that want to take us there. So I think discussing ESD and integrating it within this development prospect, that development pathway that we're currently building is very important.
Thank you. Next question, please. Yes, at the back.
Buen día, mi nombre es Alfredo Dil.
Hello, my name is Alfredo Dil, and I'm from the newspaper El Clarín in Argentina. I have a couple of questions. First, people often assume that young people are more aware or more sensitive to the need for sustainable development, a more green or environmentally friendly lifestyle. So my first question to you is whether or not you agree with that assumption. And do you see amongst your peers in your own generation that indeed people are more aware of this, they have a greater sensitivity to the need to change lifestyles and to uphold the values of sustainable development? And if that is the case, how do you think schools and other educational institutions can embrace these values more, so that young people can take them on board and express these values throughout the entire educational process? How can we make sure that the word gets out to a greater extent? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Perhaps Sibrin could take a stab at answering it, and then Funmi, if that's okay?
I could.
Okay.
I will. You asked if youth are more aware of all the challenges in ESD. I wonder, because I think there are very many adults who are also aware of the challenges, but that it's mainly due to conflict of interests that the societies and the people who decide in societies are not acting, and the youth are more open to express their voice than some older people are. So I wonder, I doubt. But I think that there are very many young people who want to express their feelings. So going into your second question, how can schools embrace that value? I think by giving young people a stage and youth a stage to be able to express it, to be able to work on their own projects, to do their own improvements. If you're within a school or university and the university doesn't have time to change something, but there are students who want to change something, or secondary school and there are young people like on my right who want to change something, give them the space and the opportunity and the facilities to do so. I mean, if nothing can go wrong, if it goes wrong, nothing changes, which is not bad. But if it succeeds, things change in a positive way. So there is absolutely no reason not to give young people the opportunity to improve their own environment. So I think by empowering them and giving them a platform to do so, it will be able to change.
Yes, I don't think young people are born with a higher sense of awareness. However, young people properly educated do have more of a tendency to be open to sustainable development, just because we live more in the reality than a lot of older generations. We see our future ahead, we see the prospects of it being destroyed before it even starts. And so we do have a tendency to want to embrace more sustainable techniques of doing things. Also, our generation is very creativity friendly, like very encouraging of creativity. And so our generation is different from many generations before us because we have more options. We're allowed to spread our wings and broaden our horizons. And so I think young people should be the target because they are more open to it, even though they're not born with a higher sense of awareness.
Thank you. Is there another question? Perhaps I could ask one if there's none from the floor. I wanted to ask all the delegates, you come from all over the world. Every region is represented at the head table here. Did the participants have different ideas about what sustainable development was and different ideas about how young people should be engaging and participating? And if so, how did you work that out in your meetings?
I can start. We had different ideas because there is no one definition for sustainable development. There also is no one blanket approach that would solve all of our development issues. So we all have different ideas. However, we're all headed in the same direction. So it's easier for us to come together. Also, we recognize the fact that many ESD or sustainable development techniques are context specific. So what works for my country, Nigeria, is not necessarily going to work the exact same way in Lebanon or in the Netherlands or in Brazil or in China. So even though we have different approaches, different ideas, different definitions, or different problems as pertain to our countries, we're all heading in the same direction, and we all have the same goal of being renewable, of not desecrating our resources, and of making sure that there is a continuity.
Thanks. Maybe I could ask one of the two high school students if they have a response. Either of you two young ladies want to talk about the differences that were at your meeting?
Well, ESD initiatives, I think they can be different in each localities and different also in different countries. There are various ways to address it, in my opinion. For instance, it is very, very small, but when you don't use the electricity, you can plug it off in order to save energy due to the standby electricity. That is one initiative possible. And my high school, Kage High School, has a discipline which is part of the curriculum called environment. So we have an environment class in which we all learn about the environment, and we have an opportunity, we have opportunities to think about how we can enable sustainability. So that's a classroom, that's a class extended in my own high school. Another high school in Wakayama Prefecture, in the same prefecture, EcoCap volunteer is one of the school's activities. So through the initiatives of the school as a whole, we can take part in this type of school-wide project so that every student has an opportunity to think about sustainability.
I think we should probably draw the press conference to a close. I have one announcement I'd like to make. We have groups of student filmmakers with us, as well as youth participants. There's an awards ceremony to give prizes to our top youth filmmakers today at 5 o'clock. It's in the exhibition area at the Salon Films booth, and all of the youth delegates are invited to come as well as the youth filmmakers. It's our one chance here in Nagoya to have the two teams come together and exchange some ideas. And we'd be honored if the youth delegates would join us. It's an open invitation to anybody who's interested in youth participation at Nagoya or youth participation in ESD. I'd like to thank all of our young people for participating. I would like to thank Keiko Momai, the director of MEXT, for participating. I'd like to introduce Julie Sato. She's a communication officer from UNESCO in Paris. If you have any questions about media reporting or how to file stories or how to report from this conference, please address them to Julie. Right. Thank you all for coming, and this press conference is now concluded.